Did you ever wonder what they think when they reject you, or simply cast you aside as if your worth was insignificant? Let me tell you, they expect you to collapse. They anticipate the same old story of defeat, the desperate pursuit of validation, the futile chase for approval. They assume you'll grovel, consumed by the need to prove yourself to someone who never valued you to begin with. They expect you to stumble into their carefully set trap, one where you strip yourself of dignity to convince them you're enough. But here's the twist. They never deserved that kind of power over you in the first place. They smirk, silently basking in their perceived victory, as though your worth is something they can crumple and discard. You've felt it, haven't you? That subtle dismissal of everything you are, the cruel arrogance of someone who sees your love and loyalty as disposable. But let's not pretend this is new. We've seen this play out 1,000 times. They think they've written the script, dictating your next steps, your every reaction. They expect your pain, your rage, your spiral into chaos. And maybe, just maybe, you've followed their script before. You've played the role they cast for you. Let their rejection crush you. Let their silence shatter your peace. But what they never expect, what they can't possibly predict, is your refusal to follow their lead. They never foresee the strength you'll find in their absence, the fire that will burn brighter because of their dismissal. Here's the truth they don't want you to realize. Their rejection doesn't define you. Their indifference doesn't shrink your value. Every moment you spend trying to prove yourself to them is a moment stolen from your own growth, your own happiness. Loving someone should never come at the cost of breaking yourself into pieces to fit their mold. Love should never be a chain that binds you, a cage that stifles your light. So why have you convinced yourself that this pain, this suffering, is what love is supposed to feel like? Who told you that you must endure torment to hold on to someone who makes you feel small? Was it the stories you were told as a child? The movies, the songs, the lies whispered by a culture that equates love with sacrifice? Let me remind you of something. Love is not supposed to make you feel like you're crawling. It's not supposed to strip you of your wings or dim your brilliance. Love should elevate you, not reduce you to a shadow of yourself. And if someone can't see your light, can't honor the love you give, then the problem isn't you, it's them. But here's where the real magic begins. When you stop chasing, stop pleading, stop giving your power to someone who doesn't deserve it. This is the moment you take back your story, the moment you become the writer of your own narrative. The throne they sat on was never theirs to begin with. You built it for them, sacrificed for it, but it's always been yours. And now, it's time to reclaim it. You see, your silence isn't weakness, it's power. Not the silence of bitterness or resentment, but the silence of transformation, of rebuilding, of rising higher than they ever expected. It's a silence that speaks louder than any words, that declares you the ruler of your own destiny. It's the kind of silence that blinds them, not because it seeks revenge, but because it no longer needs them. This is your awakening. This is where you break free from the chains they tried to lock you in. This is where you remember who you are. So stand tall, wear your crown, and let them watch as you build a kingdom that doesn't just survive their rejection, but thrives in spite of it. Let them wonder how you rose. Let them question how you turned pain into power. Because this is the truth they'll never understand. Your worth was never theirs to determine. It was never theirs to take. And as you rise, as you rewrite the story they thought they controlled, you'll become something they never anticipated, a force unstoppable, a ruler undeniable. You are the author of your own legacy, and your story is just beginning. You've spent so much time giving your power away, haven't you? Every compromise, every sacrifice, every time you silenced your voice to amplify theirs, it all added up, didn't it? Piece by piece, you handed them the keys to your happiness, the control over your peace. But now, it's time to stop. Because the truth is, they never earned the throne you built for them. They never deserved it. They just sat there, comfortably oblivious, while you held up the weight of a kingdom that should have always been yours. Think about it. Why did you think they deserved that power? Was it love? Or was it fear? The fear of losing them, the fear of being alone, the fear that without them you'd somehow be less. But here's the hard truth you've been avoiding. Love built on fear isn't love at all. It's chains disguised as connection. It's control masquerading as devotion. They didn't see your worth because they were never looking for it. And every time you begged for their attention, every time you tolerated their disrespect, you were reinforcing a lie that their validation could somehow define you. But let me remind you of something powerful. The throne was never meant for them. It was always yours. So, what now? Are you going to keep breaking yourself to hold up a pedestal for someone who wouldn't even notice if it crumbled? Or are you ready to reclaim what's been yours all along? Rebuilding starts here. It starts with dismantling the illusions, brick by brick, piece by piece. It's time to take back your energy, your peace, your worth. This isn't about revenge or anger. It's about power, true power. The kind that doesn't need to scream to be heard. The kind that doesn't demand attention, but commands it simply by existing. You don't need their regret. You don't need their acknowledgement. The moment you stop chasing their approval, you'll realize the only person you've ever needed validation from is staring back at you in the mirror. Silence is your weapon now, not the silence of bitterness, but the silence of growth. It's a silence so strong it doesn't just close the chapter, it rewrites the entire book. This silence isn't about making them miss you. It's about making yourself proud. It's about stepping into a version of yourself that doesn't rely on anyone else to feel whole. Let's talk about what it means to rise. To rise isn't to shout, to argue, to fight for their attention. It's to build a life so fulfilling, so radiant, that their absence becomes irrelevant. It's not about waiting for them to realize your worth. It's about knowing it yourself. Because the moment you truly see yourself, the moment you embrace your power, you'll stop needing them to see you at all. So here's the challenge. Stop reacting. Stop explaining. Stop handing over your energy to battles that don't serve your higher purpose. Let them think what they want. Let them believe they've won. Because while they're busy playing games, you'll be building. Building a life that speaks for itself. Building a kingdom they'll never have access to again. This is your time, your reign. Take back the crown. Reclaim your story. And let them wonder how you became unstoppable without them. Because the truth is, they were never the source of your strength. You were. You always have been. And now, it's time to let the world see it. Reclaiming your power doesn't happen in a single moment. It's a journey that starts the moment you decide to stop looking back. You see, every time you revisit the pain, replay the rejection, or question what you could have done differently, you're tethering yourself to a past that doesn't deserve you. It's time to let go, not for them, but for you. Because the truth is, their chapter in your story has ended, and it's time to turn the page. But let's be real. It's not easy, is it? There's a part of you that still clings to the what-ifs, the false hope that maybe, just maybe, they'll come back and everything will make sense. That's the lie, though. The idea that their return will somehow fix the pain they caused. But let me ask you, even if they came back, would it truly change anything? Would it erase the disrespect, the indifference, the way they made you question your worth? Or would it just reopen wounds that have already started to heal? Let's call it what it is. Closure isn't something they can give you. It's something you give yourself. You don't need their apology, their regret, or their acknowledgement. Closure isn't about them. It's about deciding that their actions, their opinions, no longer have the power to affect you. It's about reclaiming control over your life, your emotions, your narrative. And here's where the real transformation begins. When you stop seeking validation from the people who hurt you, you create space for the things and people that truly deserve you. You shift your focus from proving your worth to someone who couldn't see it, to embracing the fact that you were enough all along. You stop asking, "Why didn't they love me?" and start affirming, "I am worthy of love, but not theirs." So how do you start? You start by breaking the cycle. The cycle of overthinking, of replaying conversations, of holding on to memories that weigh you down. You don't owe them your pain. You don't owe them your sleepless nights, your tears, your time. What you owe is yourself, a chance to heal, to grow, to thrive. Let's shift the perspective. What if their rejection wasn't a loss but a gift? What if it was the universe's way of removing someone who couldn't walk with you on the path you're destined to take? What if their absence is exactly what you need to find yourself, to rediscover your power, to become the person you were always meant to be? Because here's the truth, they weren't your destination. They were a detour, a lesson, a chapter, not the whole story. And while it's okay to grieve, to feel the loss, it's not okay to stay stuck there. You deserve more. You deserve a life that doesn't revolve around someone who couldn't see your value. So today, you make a choice. You choose to stop waiting for them to realize what they lost. You choose to stop carrying the weight of their indifference. You choose to let go, not to punish them, but to free yourself. Because the moment you let go, you'll feel the weight lift. You'll feel your heart open to the possibilities that were always waiting for you, just on the other side of the pain. This is your turning point. This is where the story shifts, where you reclaim your narrative, where you stop being the one who was left behind and start being the one who moves forward. Not because they deserve it, but because you do. You've always deserved more, and now it's time to claim it. Your story is far from over, and the best chapters are still ahead. Imagine this. You've been carrying a heavy bag for so long, you've forgotten what it feels like to walk freely. That bag is filled with the weight of their rejection, the echoes of their words, and the shadow of their indifference. You've carried it because, somewhere along the way, you convinced yourself it was yours to bear. But what if it isn't? What if you've been shouldering a burden that was never meant for you in the first place? Let me tell you something powerful. You have the choice to set it down. Right here, right now. You don't need permission, you don't need closure, and you certainly don't need their validation to do it. All you need is the decision. The decision to stop letting their inability to value you define how you see yourself. It's not about forgetting what happened. It's about reframing it. Yes, they rejected you. Yes, they failed to see the incredible person standing right in front of them. But that's not your story. That's their limitation, their blind spot, their loss. And while they stay stuck in their patterns, unable to appreciate what they were given, you're stepping into a version of yourself they'll never get to know. And that's the beauty of it. They don't get to be part of your future. They don't get to experience the joy, the growth, the power you're building now. Their rejection is their choice, but your response is your freedom. This is where you reclaim every ounce of energy you gave them, every moment you spent doubting yourself because of their actions. The question now is, what do you do with that freedom? Do you dwell on the past, or do you use it as fuel to create something extraordinary? Because the truth is, you have an opportunity, a chance to build a life so rich, so full, that their absence doesn't leave a hole. It leaves space. Space for better things, space for joy, space for love, the kind that doesn't make you question your worth, but celebrates it. But let me be clear, this isn't about proving anything to them. It's not about making them regret or miss you. That's a distraction. This is about proving something to yourself, that you can rise, not in spite of what they did, but because of it. That their rejection wasn't the end of your story, it was the spark that ignited your transformation. You see, real power isn't loud. It doesn't scream for attention. Real power is quiet, steady, unshakable. It's in the way you choose to carry yourself, the way you move forward without bitterness, the way you focus on building instead of breaking. That's the kind of power that makes them irrelevant. So let go of the idea that they'll ever see your worth. They may never. But their recognition isn't what gives you value. Your value is inherent. It's always been there, waiting for you to claim it. And as you step into that truth, you'll realize something profound. Their rejection didn't diminish you. It freed you from a situation where your brilliance was dimmed, where your heart was taken for granted. This is your time now. Time to stop looking back, to stop wondering what could have been, to stop giving them space in your mind and heart. It's time to turn all that energy inward, to pour it into yourself, to invest in the life you deserve. Because you do deserve it. Every ounce of joy, every moment of peace, every bit of love that's coming your way. And when you start living like that, something incredible happens. You stop needing their apology. You stop needing their regret. You stop needing them. You become whole, on your own, and that's a power no one can take from you. This is your beginning, and it's going to be magnificent. Now picture this. A version of yourself so radiant, so confident, so untouchable, that the thought of who hurt you barely registers anymore. That's not a fantasy. It's the inevitable result of reclaiming your energy, your time, your focus. Because every step you take away from the pain, every moment you choose to prioritize yourself, brings you closer to that version of you. And let me tell you, that version, they're unstoppable. But let's pause for a moment. Why does it still linger? That faint tug pulling you back to the hurt? It's because, for so long, you let their opinion of you define your opinion of yourself. You let their rejection convince you that something about you wasn't enough. But here's a truth you need to anchor yourself in. Their inability to value you has nothing to do with your value. Nothing. It's a reflection of their limitations, not your worth. Think of it this way. If someone doesn't recognize a diamond when they see it, does it make the diamond any less valuable? Of course not. And yet here you are, questioning your shine because someone didn't know how to see it. It's time to stop giving them that power. It's time to reclaim your identity, your self-worth, and your narrative. How do you do that? You start by cutting the ties, not just the physical ones, but the emotional and mental ones too. Stop replaying the memories. Stop analyzing their words. Stop wondering if you could have done something different. That's not where your power lies. Your power lies in letting go. Completely. Unapologetically. Letting go doesn't mean you didn't care. It means you care about yourself more. And when you do that, when you truly release them from your heart and mind, you create space. Space for healing. Space for growth. Space for joy. You stop holding your breath, waiting for them to realize what they lost, and instead you exhale deeply, knowing that what's ahead of you is far greater than what's behind. Here's the part that no one tells you. Letting go isn't just an act of release. It's an act of self-love. It's saying, I deserve better than to dwell on someone who couldn't see my worth. And when you treat yourself with that kind of love, you start attracting people, opportunities, and experiences that match that energy. Because the universe responds to what you believe about yourself. So start believing this. You are whole. You are enough. You are worthy of the kind of love and respect that doesn't make you question your value. Write that truth into the fabric of your being and let it guide your actions, your choices, your life. And as you rebuild, don't just focus on surviving, focus on thriving. This isn't about becoming someone new. It's about uncovering the person you've always been. The one who was buried under their rejection, their indifference, their dismissal. That person is still there, waiting for you to notice, to nurture, to celebrate. So celebrate yourself, not because they didn't, but because you deserve it. Celebrate your strength, your resilience, your ability to rise from the ashes they thought would bury you. Because you're not just rising, you're soaring. And as you move forward, you'll realize that their rejection wasn't the end of your story. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one where you're not defined by who left, but by who you became. And trust me, who you're becoming is someone extraordinary. Now, imagine standing in the ruins of what once was. The hurt, the disappointment, the moments you gave everything to someone who didn't deserve it. It's all scattered around you like shattered glass. For so long you've focused on the broken pieces, trying to put them back together, hoping they'd somehow fit the way they used to. But what if I told you it's time to stop? What if I told you those pieces aren't meant to be rebuilt? They're meant to be left behind. This isn't about fixing what broke. It's about walking away and building something entirely new. Something stronger, something that can't be shaken by someone else's inability to see your worth. Because here's the truth. You don't need their validation, their regret, or their recognition to move forward. You only need one thing, your decision to rise. But let's get real for a second. Rising doesn't mean you won't feel the pain anymore. It doesn't mean you'll wake up one day and suddenly forget the way they made you feel. No, the pain will linger for a while. It will try to whisper lies in your ear, convincing you to go back, to stay in the comfort of what's familiar, even if it hurts. But here's the thing, pain is a teacher. And if you listen closely, it's not telling you to stay, it's urging you to grow. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens when you step into the unknown, when you choose to walk away from what's safe and predictable, even if it feels terrifying. And that's exactly what you're doing now. You're stepping into a version of yourself that doesn't settle, doesn't compromise, doesn't chase. A version of yourself that commands respect, not through force, but through self-love. Self-love isn't just a buzzword. It's a daily practice. It's in the choices you make every day, the choice to set boundaries, to protect your energy, to say no to people and situations that don't align with your peace. It's in the way you speak to yourself, the way you treat yourself, the way you show up for yourself, even when no one else does. Let's talk about those boundaries for a moment. How many times have you let someone overstep them just to keep the peace? How many times have you silenced your needs to accommodate theirs? That ends now. Because boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're gates to protect what matters most, you. And the people who truly care about you, who truly value you, won't try to break them down. They'll honor them. And as you start setting those boundaries, something incredible happens. The people who were only there to take will start to fall away. At first it might feel like loss, but it's not. It's freedom. Freedom from relationships that drained you, from people who never deserved you. And in that freedom, you'll find something you may have forgotten. Peace. Peace isn't the absence of noise or chaos. It's the presence of self-assurance. It's knowing that you don't need anyone else to complete you because you are already whole. And once you find that peace, you'll never allow anyone to take it from you again. This is where the shift happens. You stop chasing, you stop proving, you stop needing, and instead you start attracting. Attracting people, opportunities, and experiences that align with the person you're becoming. Not because you need them, but because they complement the life you're building. That's the beauty of stepping into your power. It transforms not just your life, but the energy around you. So stand tall in that power. Let go of the pieces that don't serve you anymore. And as you walk away from the ruins of what was, know this: you're not leaving behind your worth. You're stepping into it. This is your time, your story, your life, and it's only just beginning. Now let's talk about the magic that happens when you finally step into your power. You see, when you stop carrying the weight of rejection, when you release the need for validation, you become something they never expected, a force they can't ignore but can no longer control, not because you're trying to get their attention, but because your energy shifts in a way that's undeniable. You become untouchable, not by shielding yourself, but by knowing who you are and standing firm in it. This isn't about revenge. It's not about showing them what they lost. Those are distractions, illusions designed to keep you tethered to a version of yourself that no longer serves you. No, this is about something much bigger: your evolution. It's about becoming so in tune with your own value that you no longer need anyone else to confirm it. And that's the thing about value. It's not something that changes because someone else failed to see it. A masterpiece doesn't lose its worth because a passerby doesn't stop to admire it. You are that masterpiece. And when you finally realize it, when you stop handing over the pen to others to write your story, something remarkable happens. You start to create a life that feels like it was always meant for you. This life doesn't come from proving anything to anyone else. It comes from proving something to yourself, that you are capable of more than just surviving. You are capable of thriving, and thriving doesn't mean living a life free of challenges. It means facing those challenges with grace, with resilience, with the unwavering belief that you are enough, no matter what. But here's the tricky part. Thriving requires trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in the process. Trust that the universe has a way of aligning things for you when you finally let go of what's holding you back. And letting go, that's the ultimate act of trust. It's saying, I don't need to hold on to this pain to remind me of my strength. My strength is already within me. So what does it look like to thrive? It looks like waking up in the morning and feeling a sense of peace, not because everything in your life is perfect, but because you've stopped chasing perfection. It looks like pouring your energy into things that bring you joy, that light you up, that remind you of who you are. It looks like surrounding yourself with people who see you, who value you, who celebrate you, not for what you can do for them, but simply for being you. And as you thrive, you'll start to notice something else. The things that used to bother you, the people who used to hold power over you, they begin to fade into the background. Not because they've changed, but because you have. You've outgrown them. You've risen above the noise they created. And when you look back, it won't be with anger or regret. It will be with gratitude. Gratitude for the lessons, for the growth, for the way they pushed you to become the person you are now. Because that's the real victory, isn't it? Not in proving them wrong, but in proving yourself right. In knowing that you didn't just survive what they put you through, you thrived because of it. And as you move forward, you'll carry that truth with you, not as a wound, but as a badge of honor. This is what it means to take back your power. This is what it means to reclaim your story. You are no longer a character in someone else's narrative. You are the author, the creator, the ruler of your own life. And as you write this new chapter, let it be filled with everything you deserve: peace, joy, love, and a power so undeniable it lights up the world around you. Now, let's explore what it feels like to truly own your story, to step into a version of yourself that isn't weighed down by the opinions, expectations, or rejections of others. It's like taking a deep breath after being underwater for far too long, your lungs filling with air, your body realizing it's finally free. This is what happens when you stop letting others dictate your worth. It's liberation, it's transformation. But let's be honest, this isn't an overnight change. It's a process, a journey that begins with small but powerful decisions. The decision to stop apologizing for who you are. The decision to stop giving your energy to people who don't reciprocate. The decision to stop shrinking yourself to make others feel comfortable. Each of these decisions is a step forward, a step closer to the life you're meant to live. Here's the beautiful part. As you begin to make those decisions, you start to realize just how much of your life was built around pleasing others. Every compromise, every moment you silenced your needs, every time you said yes when you wanted to say no, it all adds up. And while it may feel overwhelming to confront that truth, it's also empowering. Because now you have the clarity to change it. Change doesn't mean tearing everything down overnight. It means being intentional about what you rebuild. It's asking yourself, what do I want? What makes me happy? What kind of life do I want to create? And here's the kicker. You don't need anyone's permission to answer those questions. You don't need anyone's approval to start building a life that feels authentic to you. Imagine this, a version of your life where you wake up every day feeling aligned, not because everything is perfect, but because everything feels like it belongs to you. Your choices, your relationships, your environment, all of it reflecting the person you've become. This isn't a fantasy. It's what happens when you stop living for others and start living for yourself. And as you step into this new version of your life, you'll start to notice something incredible. The things you once thought you couldn't live without, the people, the validation, the attention, you'll realize you're better off without them, not because you didn't care, but because you've outgrown them. You've moved beyond the need for external affirmation into a space where your own self-acceptance is enough. This doesn't mean you won't still value connection or relationships. It means you'll value them differently. You'll surround yourself with people who uplift you, who see you, who respect your boundaries and celebrate your growth. You'll choose relationships that feel mutual, where your energy isn't drained, but replenished. And the people who can't meet you there, they'll fall away naturally. No drama, no resentment. Just the quiet realization that they no longer fit in the life you're building. This is what it means to rise, to let go of the weight of the past, to stop carrying what isn't yours, and to step boldly into the future you deserve. It's not about forgetting what happened. It's about refusing to let it define you. It's about taking everything you've learned and using it as fuel to become someone even stronger, even wiser, even more unapologetically yourself. So, as you move forward, hold this truth close. You are not the sum of who left you, who hurt you, or who couldn't see your worth. You are the sum of every choice you make to rise, to grow, to thrive. You are the author of your story, and this is the chapter where you take back the pen. Write boldly, write unapologetically, and write a story that makes you proud. Now that you're stepping into your power, let's talk about what it means to truly thrive. Not just survive, but to live a life so full, so authentic, that it becomes unshakable. Thriving isn't just about reaching some final destination. It's about embracing the journey, the growth, the moments of clarity that come when you finally let go of what doesn't serve you. You've already started letting go, haven't you? The old habits, the constant overthinking, the need to prove your worth to someone who never saw it. But there's more to this transformation than just release. It's about creating a life that reflects who you really are, not the version of yourself you felt you had to be for someone else. This creation process starts with intention. You've spent so much time reacting to their rejection, their indifference, their inability to meet you where you were. But now it's time to stop reacting and start choosing. Choosing how you want to feel, who you want to be, and what you want your life to look like. This is your blank slate, your opportunity to design a life that aligns with your values, your dreams, your joy. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you truly prioritized your happiness? Not the kind of happiness that comes from external validation, but the kind that's rooted in who you are and what you love. That's the kind of happiness you're building now. The kind that doesn't waver because of someone else's opinion or presence. The kind that's untouchable. As you start to create this life, you'll notice something profound. The things that once consumed you, the need for their attention, the hurt from their rejection, will begin to fade. Not because you've forgotten, but because you've grown. Your energy will shift away from trying to fix what was broken and toward building what's unbreakable. And in that shift, you'll find peace. Peace doesn't mean everything is perfect. It doesn't mean you won't have challenges or moments of doubt. It means you'll approach those moments differently. Instead of letting them knock you down, you'll face them with strength, with resilience, with the unshakable belief that you are enough. Because you are. You always have been. And as you grow into this new version of yourself, you'll realize something even more powerful. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Not to them, not to the world, not even to yourself. You're not here to meet someone else's expectations or to play a role that was never meant for you. You're here to live fully, authentically, unapologetically. This isn't just about healing from what happened. It's about stepping into your greatness because of it. It's about using every lesson, every challenge, every moment of pain as a stepping stone to rise higher. And as you rise, you'll inspire others to do the same, not because you set out to, but because your energy, your light, your strength will be undeniable. So let this be your mantra moving forward. I choose me. I choose my peace, my joy, my growth. I choose to let go of what no longer serves me and to build a life that reflects the best of who I am. Because this is your life, your story, your masterpiece. And the more you step into your power, the more you'll realize that the greatest gift you can give yourself is the freedom to be exactly who you are. This is your moment. Take it, live it, thrive in it. Because you're not just surviving anymore, you're creating something extraordinary, and the world is better for it.